Episode 77, Emerging Trends, Games, and Tech. We're talking about remixing with Sunnie Tora. I'm Bernie, Topical and Good Social Networks. Before we get really into this, Sunnie, tell us where you are online, because we'll look at the book by Kevin Kelly. He's in a lot of different places, including as an author of the book, The Inevitable. But where can we find you online right now, Sunnie?
I should be on Sunnie Tora on Twitter and Instagram.
Super. Okay. So Kevin Kelly's, who we're talking about, remixing is a thing that is a trend that he identifies. How does he define that word, remixing?
Kevin Kelly actually quotes from Brian Arthur, who believes all new technologies derive from a combination of existing technologies. And I find this really interesting because, like, we started out with cameras and started out with phones and they were separate objects, and we remixed them together. So I think he has some good points. Cool.
So it's remixing is more than just a mashup of music. It's actually of technologies. One thing builds on another. Before you started this program, and you're on a digital animation program right now. So let's go back to say 2015, which would be about the time you're thinking about jumping into this degree program as a digital animator. What was your experience with remixing back then?
So before I even knew remixing was a thing, I was like a regular kid that would go on YouTube for music, and then someday I came across this YouTube channel called DJ Earworm, which is a picture now, and he would just like take the biggest hits from a certain month or a certain year, and then he'd mash them together, and we would go into school and everybody would be talking about him, and be like, oh, trying to pick out which of our favorite song was in the newest remix, and I just thought it was a really interesting way before it all started.
Cool. Yeah, I know. I listen to a lot of mashups, and my playlists now are more of it's reflecting a cultural influence of different types of music and sometimes different types of visual cinematography. You've seen a lot of that remixing as a digital artist, and then as a digital artist, probably even seen more of it because it's so easy to change layers or to amalgamate content. What do you think has been the most inspirational visual or musical remixes for yourself, Sunnie?
The very, very first one that I ever noticed was I watched a movie called Moulin Rouge, and they had this song, The Show Must Go On, and I was like obsessed with this song, and it didn't even dawn on me that it was a Queen song, and I love Queen because they had remixed it so well and into like this new operatic twist that just gave it a new life almost. And then I was blessed to work with Ariana Grande. So she originally released a song called 34 plus 35, and then it got like a bunch of views, and then months later she decided she was releasing it but remixed. So she got in these new artists, Doja Cat and Megan Thee Stallion, and I was really, really lucky to work on it. So upon her remixing this song, creating a new song that got like almost as much viewage, I made these artworks, and I found it very interesting that the director of the actual video then remixed my artwork into like this almost like collage remix video for the remix video, which I thought was a bit fun.
Well, yeah, but now someone would have been appropriating your work there. I mean, like, how'd that make you feel? I mean, it sounds like that's a good thing because you like the gig working with a major artist, but like they're taking your work, they're putting it into a different space. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it was crazy. Like, I was just sitting at home one day and just doodling for myself, and then I was contacted to say, hey, can you work for us? And I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. I've worked for you before, it's all good. And then a few days into the job, I was kind of questioning, oh, but who's this for? And that's when she said, oh, it's for Ariana Grande, and I almost lost my life because that's insane. But
well, how did they know? How did they find your work?
So basically, that summer beforehand, I had uploaded a couple of animations to Instagram. I hashtagged them animation and all that kind of business. And I think from there that this, I think she's a 2D motion animator is what her title is, but she's basically a director for their videos. She stumbled across my work from the hashtag and contacted me to say if I could remake this but for her. and
Wow.
she just kept me on since then, I guess.
This is suggesting that since you now have made an impact and people may want to have more work more like Sunnie Tora, you got to just hashtag some of your stuff with your own handle because you got the look that they wanted. And it's just, I like the video. I mean, it's very, it's just, it's the format, the style, the backing track, everything. It's just a really good piece of work. And you must have felt like, okay, that's all. I'm done. Next gig. I mean, I watched your flow on Instagram, like saying, wow, it's January and like there's nothing better can happen. To which I'd probably say, yeah. I mean, even if the world was free of COVID right now, you're on this, in a sense, a production high, and everything else must seem tedious. So like, what's the feeling though right now? Because I mean, you would hope that based on what you've done, you'd want to have the ability to remix your own creative style into something similar to that in the future. Would you say that's true? Like you want to float your stuff and see if someone nibbles at it, or are you looking for something simple like ink and paint artists in the future? Because it is something like in a scripted kind of way, everybody wants to know what's your goal in life, but like this is big what you've done. There's several people on the campus that have done really interesting things for big players or big spaces. You're one of them. But like, what, are you at the edge of a cliff now and you don't know what's at the other side of it? Like, what's in your head about all this?
So for definite, when I finished working on it, I kind of just felt, oh, I was at a dud. Like, oh, okay, I finished now. Well, I will college work. I guess I'll do that. And then the video was released and I was so excited. And then a couple of days passed and like the hype died down. And I was like, oh, this is it. This was my peak. But then I was actually really lucky. And a couple of days later, I was contacted by another celebrity who I cannot name because of NDA,
Yeah.
but they wanted me to work for them personally. So I was like, oh, this is my year. It's just taking off. So I'm hoping it keeps going that way. I really like
balance that because now you've become critical to their mix. Oftentimes, because it's your first big gig, nothing can top it, and that's good. But it is a big deal. So, like, how do you help somebody prepare for that? Like, you walked into this space. We're in this economy of remixing right now. So, if you're going to give advice to your 15-year-old self, or you're going to give advice to a new creative and a new digital animator, what would you tell them about creatively engaging in this space called remixing? What survival tips or what specific pieces of advice could you give to somebody to help a creative prepare to creatively engage in this space?
I say my biggest thing would be create the art or the content that makes you happy, because that is the content somebody will find, somebody will enjoy, they'll take it. And for those moments that you're feeling overwhelmed because so much is going on, just live in that. Don't be thinking, oh, who's going to see this? This person won't like it. I got very nervous about people commenting bad things on the video. I was scared people would hate my art in the video, but nobody cared. People were too busy with the song. So I wish I lived in the moment a little bit more and appreciated it, to be honest.
But nonetheless, no way around it. Your artwork makes the entire mix work better. I mean, the song plays well on a radio without any kind of graphics. The song is sort of graphic, but the imagery makes it. It complements it. It fits. And fair play to the artistic director for pulling that off, and for recognizing that you are the pieces that give it this kind of play. How do you see it in the future, the year 2050? If you went forward in terms of just the concept of remixing in the year 2050, what do you think it's going to be like then? In 2050, how's that going to evolve? What's going to happen to the concept of remixing about 30 years from now?
I feel like it'll probably be even bigger because like all music and lyrics, they've been sung, they've been played before. We've seen it all kind of like stories and movies. We've seen them all play out in different ways.
Yeah.
I think they'll just be like remixing the itty bitty stuff. So like things like the background drums, they'll probably chop up, throw into a new song. Common phrases that we say today will be chopped up, thrown around. The younger generations will take snippets out of our phrases and make new ones, and just things like that. Basically, I think it'll just continue to keep growing and changing as we go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So besides the book, The Inevitable, what other sources would you say, hey lads, if you want to learn more about this concept or learn more about what we just been talking about, where would you point people to? What kind of source information would have informed your judgment of this whole concept of remixing?
So one source that I'm actually using this artist for my final year film, Sakura Hurts. He's really, really nice. And he gave me permission to use his song. But what he does is
Yeah,
takes music from a couple artists, only like one or two songs. He remixes them and then he does his own little
cool.
DJ remix over it. So it like basically makes a whole new song, but he makes like stories from them, which I think is really interesting and I want to see grow. Another thing is from Kevin Kelly's book, The Inevitable, there's a sentence that there's nothing as consequential as a dumb thing made smarter. And I think that's really interesting because, you know, we remix everyday things to become
Yeah,
better, to become smarter. Small ideas are growing because we're remixing them with other ideas. And then my other resources are, I had this website open that was kind of giving me the basics of remix culture and what
good.
it's about. You know, it can be songs, it can be videos, just like fundamental ways of changing the original content. And then I also found this video that was showing even videos and movies from years and years ago, taking older songs, putting them into the movies, and like upplaying it, using it as comedy, just
Yeah,
kind of like remixing it up a bit. So
cool. Well, yeah, thanks for explaining your hands-on view of this important topic, remixing. You can see Sunny's work on Instagram and Twitter as Sunny Tora, including insights about how she's done video production with Ariana Grande. You can hear more about this, the emerging trends, games, and tech by just following the hashtag Climate Digital, and you can hear what we're doing on all good audio platforms. So thanks for listening to Emerging Trends, Games, and Tech. Bye for now.